Hi guys, my name is Esther Daniel and you're welcome back to the channel. So guys, we need to talk about something that is not just controversial, it's dangerous. Donald Trump just said that inner city black people are not doing cultural work, but immigrants do it naturally and can't be easily replaced. This is not just offhand comments. It's a throwback to the same mindset that once justified slavery. Let's get into it. But before we do that, please subscribe to the channel, like and share the video to help the channel out.
But, Mr. President, I just want to hear you clearly. You're saying the people who have been here for years and who have been even paying taxes, you're going to look at them very differently, and maybe they belong here in the workforce?
I want to work with them, and in some cases, we're sending them back to their country with a pass back in legally, and we're doing things that are very difficult to do and very complex, but it works really well. We're sending them back, and then they're schooling, they're learning, they're coming in legally. We have a lot of that going on, but we're taking care of our farmers. We can't let our farmers not have anybody, these people, you can't replace them very easily. People that live in the inner city are not doing that work. They're just not doing that work. And they've tried, we've tried, everybody tried. They don't do it. These people do it naturally. I said, what happens if they get it to a farmer the other day? What happens if they get a bad back? He said, they don't get a bad back, sir, because if they get a bad back, they die. I said, that's interesting, isn't it? These are very, in many ways, they're very, very special people. Okay, go ahead.
So Donald Trump, not in these exact words, but basically admitted this week that a lot of the things that he's been doing, a lot of the policies, a lot of the executive orders that he's been signing off on was all made with the intention of getting black people back into the field. It was made with the intention of getting black people back into the field. All right, so on Tuesday, Donald Trump made an appearance, right, on CNBC's Squawk Box. And on that platform, he actually made a lot of commentary in regards to the situation with the deportations, migrant workers, the state of America's agriculture, and he made comments on inner city people not doing farm work. I want you to always remember that when they mention inner city, that means black. In Donald Trump's exact words, people that live in the inner city are not doing that work. They've tried. We've tried. Everybody tried. They don't do it. These people do it naturally. They don't get a bad back because if they get a bad back, they die. He also went on to say that they are very, very, very special people and they cannot be easily replaced. Remember what I said, anytime that they mention the words inner city people, inner city communities, inner city neighborhoods, that's black. That's code for black. Blackity black, okay? Black people. And it is because of that exact commentary that it reconfirms for me, okay? Not confirms, but reconfirms, meaning that I already knew. But it reconfirms that the plan from the very beginning with these executive orders, right, was to further destabilize black communities, further destabilize poor communities, but black mainly, so that you could put pressure on these communities so that you could get them to go back into the field, right? And then once you get them back in the field, bingo, you've made America great again. Modernize slavery. But black people said, fuck you and this little game that you want to play. Since we are the most valuable player on the scoreboard, we will remove ourselves and let's see if this game is still going to continue. And that's in fact what we're seeing right now. Donald Trump thought that by forcing all of these other people out, taking away our Medicaid, doing all of these things to further destabilize our community, that we would conform, that we would just do what he wants us to do, what the whites of this world, what white supremacy wants us to do. But black people decided to pull a Uno reverse and they did nothing, which is something that they're not used to black people doing. They're used to black people having this spirit of rebellion, having this spirit of revolution. But instead, black people decided that, you know what, I'm going to preserve my energy for me and my people, but I'm also going to remove myself from this game entirely. And now everything is starting to crumble. The way that the America agriculture is taking a huge hit right now because of Donald Trump and his deportations. Like, I don't think that you understand how much America survives off of the labor of undocumented workers. And when I say y'all, I mean all the other races. Black people knew, because black people were telling you. They told you, don't do this. Don't do this, because we're not going back in the field. Don't do this, but y'all didn't listen. And just to put into retrospect of how important undocumented migrant workers are to the agriculture economy here in America, the U.S. Department of Agriculture reports that roughly 42% of crop workers are undocumented, with nearly 70% being foreign-born. This labor is essential in states like California and Texas, where up to 80% of farm workers lack legal status. Donald Trump signed off on a lot of these executive orders back in January. It is now August, and in between that time, he has done a parade of chaotic shit, trying to put pressure on the black community, but the black community has refused to fold. They have not folded. And it's not just the black community, but the legal Hispanic community here, the legal Latinos here, the Browns, and every other race that sees what this administration has been trying to do from the very beginning. They have not folded. And because of that, everything that he has signed off on in January is starting to bite him in the ass in August. And to all of you people out there that had so much to say in regards to the black community and the 92% and them actually deciding to stand down and not participate, to not get involved, to protect their peace, all of the critiques that you had on their decision, let this be your example. Let this be your primary example as to why you should stay the fuck out of black people business. Stay the fuck out of black people business. You had so much to say in regards to our decision and wanting to stand the fuck back and deciding to remove ourselves from this entire game altogether, right? Now, you see that black people actually knew what the fuck they were doing. They knew what the fuck they were doing. They told you were going to need these people because they weren't doing it anymore. They told you they wasn't going to do it anymore. You still got rid of them people. You still got rid of the migrants. You still did and went through with the mass deportations, and now you guys want food. But you thought that the black people was going to get into the field. No, they wasn't going to do it. They wasn't going to do it. They wasn't going to do it. And now you see why they decided from the very beginning, oh, I see how this is going to play out. Exit stage left.
When he says inner city, we already know exactly who he's talking about. Black Americans, of course. And when he says immigrants do it naturally, he's repeating an old racist idea. Certain people are born to do hard labor. That's not praise, it's exploitation.
America has never lacked labor. It just always had a very clear idea of who should be doing it. The fields, the factories, the kitchens, the care work, always someone else's job. And now, according to our Secretary of Agriculture, that job should go to Medicaid recipients, not because they volunteered, not because it pays well, but because in the eyes of power, the poor are disposable, and poverty is now a work assignment. Recently, the Secretary of Agriculture suggested that immigrants being deported from this country will be replaced on farms by Medicaid recipients. Let that sink in. We're now saying if you are poor, you work. If you are sick, you work. If you are disabled, an elderly, or a veteran who served this country and now relies on public health care, you work. Not because it's a calling, but because your life, your value, is reduced to whether you can produce cheap labor. For food, you may not even be able to afford yourself. This isn't policy, it's punishment. It's the reincarnation of an old American idea that certain people were born to serve. And if they can't serve willingly, then the government will assign them value. Let's be real here. We know who she's not imagining out there in the fields. She's not thinking of white mothers in rural Ohio. She's not thinking of Vietnam vets who've spent decades battling PTSD. She's not thinking of your grandfather on oxygen or your neighbor recovering from surgery. But when she says Medicaid recipients, she wants you to picture black or brown face, a poor person, someone else. This is not about labor. This is about lineage. This is about who America has always considered the help. And now that immigration is being restricted and borders are tightening, they're looking inward and they're asking, who's left to exploit? But here's the irony. The people they want to push into those fields are the same people who built the country in the first place, who fed America, who picked, planted, and processed without dignity, wages, or thanks. And we are not going back. This isn't just a cruel policy suggestion. It's a reflection of how far the political mind has strayed from compassion and logic. Because if they truly cared about labor shortages, they'd reform immigration, they'd raise wages, they'd offer health care, housing, and safety. But instead, they punish the poor for being poor, and they punish the sick for being sick. So the next time someone in power suggests that Medicaid recipients should work the farms, ask them, which ones? The single mothers in trailer parks? The white veterans on disability? The 74-year-old widower in Alabama? Because if you're going to assign people to the fields, don't pretend it's about fairness. Call it what it is. Modern day indentured labor, dressed up as policy. And let me be clear, we've picked enough. We've bent our backs for centuries, and we are not going back to the fields for anyone's political fantasy.
How stupid can you be? First off, we don't even like being outside.
Immigrants were not born to pick your fruit, okay? That is not what they were born to do. Donald Duck said that the reason why he's taking back all these raids and people getting deported is because the fields are empty. People are not doing the job because immigrants are not here. And that people from the city, he used a particular term, people from the city, they've tried, but nobody else wants to do the job. So immigrants do it so easily because they were born to do that. No, they do it because they have to. Because Latinos are fucking hustlers. Because Latinos know that they're here to do whatever the fuck they have to do to make some money. That is why they do that. You think they have fun doing it? You think they were born and their dream was to go work in the fields? No. But they know they're the underdog, and they don't use that as an excuse. They're hustlers. They'll figure it out. They'll do whatever the fuck they have to do. So yeah, the jobs that nobody else wants to do, they'll do it. If it means making money to support their family, yeah, they'll do it. So stop feeding that narrative, because that is insane. They are more than just fruit pickers or construction workers. They are humans. They are people.
This is too fucking weird. So Donald Trump is on CNBC. He's giving this interview. He says, we got to do something about the farmers, because he says, we got to have these immigrant farm laborers because people in the inner cities won't do those jobs. What the hell is that supposed to mean? People in the inner cities won't do these jobs. Bro, that's an inside thought, bro. That is crazy. Then he goes on to say, oh, these are workers, they're like nobody else. I said to one of the farm owners, I said, what if this person gets a bad back? And he said, oh, they don't get a bad back because if they get a bad back, they die. What are you saying, dude? What is that even? What? And then he said, he keeps going, he's like, no, my approval rating is 71%. And the guy's like, maybe with Republicans. He's like, no, it's 91% with Republicans. It's 71% with everybody. I'm like, bro, what is happening? He's so insane, dude.
It was never about immigration. It was always about white supremacy. And President Trump just proved it. As soon as mostly white, wealthy farmers and hotel owners had their exploitative labor practices threatened, Trump flipped like that, announcing today, Thursday, June 12th, that they will be making major changes to their immigration enforcement of farm workers and hotel and leisure workers.
Farmers are being hurt badly by, they have very good workers. They've worked for them for 20 years. They're not citizens, but they've turned out to be, great. I have an order on that pretty soon, I think. We can't do that to our farmers, and leisure too, hotels.
Cut to Stephen Miller dry heaving in the corner. How is MAGA going to react to this, y'all? It is very clear that the problem Trump created is getting out of control. And so now he's going to change course. He's attempting to make some kind of logical or economic argument about immigrant labor when he and his team have spent years making a racist argument about immigrants, telling the American people how dangerous immigrants are. And I don't know how easily you can put that racist genie back in the bottle.
Trump is doing everything in his power to bait black people, and it's only getting worse because black people aren't falling for anything at all right now. To the point where now you're just about to deploy the National Guard in Washington, D.C., where there's a high black population, especially a high black homeless population, because you want black people in the streets protesting so you can enact martial law. We all know it. Because the thing is, when white people have been protesting, and all of these protests have been so civil, none of them have even been streamed on TV because they're not violent. They don't get violent with white people, but they have no problem getting violent with black people. And they know if they can get black people out to protest and to fight for our rights yet again, they can enact martial law and they can throw us all in jail if we ever think of rebelling. And I'm not living in a military city. No offense, but I don't respect any authority at all whatsoever. That's my issue. I'm also not afraid of cops. I'm not afraid of the military. I've had cops with guns in my faces. I've had cops with giant horses and guns in my faces while I protested before. I will have a traffic stop and there will be multiple cops that get out for me at a traffic stop. And I've never been scared of y'all, because the thing is, y'all get off on people being scared. That's the only way y'all can't get me. Like, none of you bitches scare me. Y'all are like my little brother with his toy gun. Like, oh my god, you're gonna get me. Like, quit playing with your food and just do what you want to do. But everybody else is just a chess piece. Everybody else is. The only group that he's actually after is black people. That's why he's deporting Latinos, because who's gonna work in the fields now? With black female unemployment rate reaching an all-time high. That's why he's cutting Medicaid. That's why you're trying to regulate food stamps. That's why you cut the weather service. That's why you cut the only accessible piece of media to every single child in the country, poor and rich. He literally said, he was like, they were on a farm and he was talking about farmer responsibility, as in people could live on these farms with these farmers and they could just build property on the land and people could live here and work on the fields. Does that not sound familiar? Make America Great Again is bringing back slavery, bringing back black people in shackles. That's all it is. That's literally everything. And I think he knows that black people aren't falling for it, which is why he's getting more intense and more aggressive with his tactics. Because black people aren't falling for anything right now. We're not protesting. We're not fighting. We're just minding our business. So